Cutlet, channa to COVID lockdown is a novel written by VMS. Firstly, it starts with the women's college ruled in the city 1995. In 1995, Chennai's women's colleges were not merely educational institutions, they were ecosystems. I could call it as to enter a city women's college was not to enter a Catholic curated universe, one where ambition, beauty, rebellion, obedience, privilege, and fear coexisted politely under compulsory attendance and the dress code is obviously to some extent we need to follow, and colleges like Stella Maris Women's Christian College, WCC, Meenakshi College, and Ethiraj, and a few others were not ranked merely by academics. They were ranked by reputation, visibility, alumni success, as well as marriage prospects and cultural dominance. They are ranked as number one colleges for women. Everyone knew with which college produced IAS officers and which produced brides, which produced artists, and which quietly produced rebels. Ethiraj stood at a peculiar intersection of all the four, I could call it as. It was reputed, well funded, centrally located, and socially powerful. Its gates did not just open into classrooms, they opened into cinema, journalism, bureaucracy, and social mobility. By evening, it was common to see expensive cars parked outside directors, producers, journalists, men who claimed to recognize talent while scanning faces with professional interest, and no one officially acknowledged this. Everyone unofficially understood it. Ethiraj girls were visible. That visibility came with advantages and risk. English literature, the Royal Department within Ethiraj English literature students occupied a special altitude, I could say. They were not necessarily the brightest academically, but they were the most audible, most visible, and most indispensable. Cultural events, debates, dramas, and intercollegiate festivals, English literature students were expected to lead, speak, perform, and represent. Science students, yes, they studied. Commerce students calculated. Literature students performed live. Most English literature students had not entered the department by accident. Some were there because science seats were unavailable, some because mathematics had betrayed them, and some because literature sounded glamorous, some because it required fewer hours laboratories and more hours on stage. A few genuinely because they loved words. Almost all believed they were destined for something larger than routine employment, and the mindset was confident, occasionally arrogant, often performative. And English was not just a language, it was a passport. Fluency signaled class, exposure, future mobility. Silence was interpreted as lack of intelligence, and theatre was mistaken for depth. And yet, the department was electric. Classes were informal. Faculties appeared more like visiting intellectuals than disciplinarians. Attendance was flexible. The library became a home, and time felt abandoned, and life felt rehearsed but not yet real. Mira, an inconvenient outlier, Mira entered this world differently. She came from a pedagogical background, not performance. Her father was an IAS officer trained in systems, restraint, accountability. Mother was a graduate, multifaceted, practical, quietly capable. Education in her household was not decorative, it was functional. Meera did not arrive seeking visibility, she arrived seeking understanding. She had grown up watching power operate silently, not theatrically. Authority in her home was never loud, success was never announced, words were chosen carefully, consequences were understood easily. This made her an odd fit among girls who believed confidence was destiny and attention was achievement, while others dreamed of cinema and travel or advantageous marriages, whereas Meera dreamt of the civil services. She believed merit mattered, she believed effort was cumulative, she believed the system, though flawed, could be navigated with discipline. Fate intervened as it often does with women who believe structure will protect them. Unwanted fire, emotional chaos, and distractions of of youth diverted focus, ambition blurred, dreams were postponed, not abandoned, just misfiled. Around her, others had clearer strategies. Her classmate Parameshwari knew from day one she would enter the civil services. She did, becoming IPS, not IAS, but power nonetheless. Others aimed for safety, wealth, or escape. English literature was never the destination; it was the waiting room. What we didn't know then, in 1995, we believed women's education was emancipation. We did not yet understand that education only amplifies what society already allows. That some women would convert degrees into power, some into marriage, some into endurance, some into silence. Etiraj did its job. So did Stella Maris and did WCC. They educated us. What they could not teach us was how unevenly the world would reward us afterward. That lesson came much later, after degrees faded, after friendships shifted, after silence became visible. But in those years inside Women's College, we believed the city belonged to us. For a brief, luminous moment, it did. And it is about Meera before Etiraj, and she was studying in Meenakshi College. Meera completed her undergraduation degree at Meenakshi College for Women, a rank holding institution with a reputation for discipline, punctuality, and quite seriousness. The campus drew students from Kudambakam films such as the neighborhoods, affluent households where ambition coexisted with comfort. Many classmates arrived by car, and Meera arrived by train schedules. And she had written the medical entrance examination and missed the cutoff mark by three, lost not to ignorance but to classification forward community, no grace, no exception, for the nice officer who understood systems better than sentiment, advice, pragmatism. English literature, he said, UPSC needs language, logic, and discipline, so literature became strategy, not escape. The Meenakshi routine for 3 years, Meera lived by the clock. She left her Ambattur at 5:30 a.m., boarded the train to Central, transferred to Egmore, and reached Kodambakam station 6:45 a.m. From the station, mostly she need to run 10 minutes of breathless urgency to make the 7 a.m. bell in Meenakshi quite strict, otherwise gate would be closed. And college entered at 1 p.m. and 1:15 the return train, 1:45 Central to Ambattur connection, 2:30 she reached the station, 2:45 she cycled back home. Her retired father waited steady, silent, helping her park the cycle, lunch at 3 p.m., a brief nap, then household chores, then studies again. This routine did not build romance, but it built endurance. Meenakshi College was strict, almost militaristic, we could call it as, and there was little room for drama, no space for illusion. The college trained women to survive structure, not question it. Etiraj, another generation entirely. Etiraj College arrived like a cultural shock. A master's in English literature was unavailable at Meenakshi, so Meera moved to Mount Road, Etiraj College, same city, entirely different universe. If Meenakshi was discipline, Etiraj was visibility. She now traveled by 27-hour bus Ambattur to Etiraj, packed with students from every college, every background, every aspiration. Boys hung on to footboards, shouted proposal, chased girls between storms. Romance was not subtle, safety was negotiable. Meera received a proposal, unsuccessful and forgettable. Later, she chose differently. A man 5 years older, well-built, handsome manager in a star hotel. Stability, she believed, had arrived early. What followed instead was a beginning of misalignment, a relationship that diverted her focus, dismantled her ambition, and quietly shattered the UPSC dream she had guarded with such discipline. And fate does not announce itself, it enters disguised as affection. The long return to self, the affair ended, damage remained. Mira did not collapse. She recalibrated, I could say, and she completed a PhD. She expanded her intellectual territory from literature into psychology, but she built an educational academy with her own hands. She lost it. She stood again. Years later, she could analyze her college mates not from memory but from the method, understanding how luck and marriage, gender, and power sculpt personality. Her intuition was no longer instinctive, it was trained. In the Ethiraj WhatsApp group, Mira stood differently. Not the richest, not the most powerful, not the safest, but the only one who had fallen, studied the fall, and